If you are tuning into our session, you're more than welcome to type on the chat where you're coming from. And yeah, we're like a minute away, so we'll begin very, very soon. Hi, Peggy. Thank you so much for joining us. Phoenix, Arizona. So I grew up in Chile, but I was a foreign exchange student in Arizona in high school for a year, but I was up in the White Mountains. And I think it's time, Yvonne. So why don't we just go ahead and take it?
All right. Thank you, Felipe. So, hi, everyone that's listening live and perhaps listening to the recording in the future, talking to the future people. So welcome to our session, which we've called Our Pride Youth Media Challenge, Stories About Your World and Our Future. My name is Dr. Yvonne Marie Andres. I'm the president and founder of the nonprofit education organization called Global SchoolNet. We've been around for a really long time, 40 years now. And our focus has been using education and technology to connect youth around the world on different collaborative programs and projects. I've been working with John Boswell for perhaps 30 of those years on different programs. And today we're going to talk about how we can engage youth in storytelling, online storytelling, and I personally am going to focus on the educational aspects of how that works. And then you're also going to hear about some other opportunities to involve students in a variety of different storytelling programs. Felipe, could you introduce
Yes.
yourself, please?
Yes, thank you, Yvonne. So my name is Felipe. I'm the marketing director for the Charter for Compassion, the organization that is putting this conference together. Super excited to be here. I am kind of like helping out, not super prepared because our friend John Boswell, who was supposed to be here, and the president of Rainbow Advocacy, who's the other half of this presentation, is not feeling very well. So because I've been working with him and I'm a good friend of him, I decided to, and I love this topic, to be honest, like our pride and rainbow advocacy and everything that he does. I love it, and so I'm here to support and to help, but also to share a little bit about those plans that Yvonne was talking before. So, do you want me to like?
Great. And yeah, just a little bit about John. He's an amazing person that's had a vision for so many decades and has kind of powered through all the obstacles. And we continue to try to bring this program to as many people as possible, even though it seems like sometimes it's completely going uphill. But we have so many great resources for you, and I think you'll find, out of everything we're going to present, you'll find some really useful things. So
Amen.
great. Can we go to the next slide? So just a little bit about Global SchoolNet. Like I said, we've been around for a long time. We were started by teachers in 1984. This was pre-web, if you can remember, there was such a thing. And we started Global SchoolNet. At the time, it was called Free Educational Electronic Mail. We wanted to connect. I wanted to give students an audience for their writing. This was before video was possible online. So we basically connected young people to do projects together where they would write to other students in other schools and get feedback, sort of based on the educational principle of what we call constructivist learning, which says that students learn best when they construct their own knowledge, where they have an audience for what they're learning and they get feedback. And then John was going to talk a little bit about Our Pride Arts and Advocacy, which is a collection of individuals and organizations dedicated to elevating issues impacting the lives of LGBTQIA plus people around the world through arts and advocacy to enhance the global pride movement of compassion and amplify the voices in the community. And Felipe, I know you can add something to that.
Yeah. One of the things I love about the project that John is doing with Rainbow Advocacy is just what it says there. It's worldwide. It's very much connected to very many different countries, and and the queer experience in this case, the LGBTQIA plus population, the queer experience varies a lot between countries. Some countries like the US are a little bit more open. I mean, ish nowadays, but more open than other countries, like for example in Africa. And so John with the Rainbow Advocacy and our Pride Arts and Advocacy has really tried to create a channel of connection between the U.S. and organizations that are very much progressive, like World Pride or Interpride, which is the organization that is behind Pride celebrations around the world, to create sort of like a link between those big organizations and all these different grassroots movements and people in different countries like Tanzania or Uganda. And so and you learn more with the slides now, but it's a really cool way to connect all these different populations through the queer voices and amplifying those queer voices, especially in countries where those queer voices are being marginalized even more so than others.
Great, thank you. All right, so Global SchoolNet has always been about partners and collaboration. Our niche is collaboration, so we always look for the individuals and organizations that are out there that kind of share our vision. And as I said, working with John, we're now combining what we're trying to do with the KGED Youth Media Challenge. And specifically, that invites youth ages 13 through 18, so pretty much middle school, high school, to explore how they see themselves, their world, their future, by creating and publishing original audio and video. For this particular program, submissions are welcome year-round, and we encourage entries from after-school programs, classrooms, summer camps, homeschool, whatever. This is actually an adult guided activity, so students cannot submit things on their own. They must have an adult as a coach or as a supervisor. And then we'll make these slides available, and you can actually go and sign up if you're interested in this particular program and get updates from KQED. Great, thanks. So again, this is a little bit of background about this particular media challenge. And there are 3 different categories, and I'm not going to read these to you. You can go to the website and you can get lots more information, but it really covers pretty much everything from the personal perspective of how life is affecting you and how you're dealing with things, to kind of an international perspective. Maybe you're wondering what's happening in Australia, or what's happening in England, or wherever it happens to be. And or you can tell your own personal narrative. Could be about about yourself, or maybe somebody that you know, or somebody in your community. Great.
Thank you. I think I can take this one a little bit. So with our Pride, our Pride is assisting schools and youth organizations in fulfilling requirements to support inclusive education, but that is also very much involved with the history of queer voices and the people in the social science instruction. And so our Pride kind of teamed up specifically with the Youth Challenge about student produced short films that tell an influential story about significant LGBTQIA plus people, or places, or historical contributions to society. So as it says here in the slide, it supports standards-based, authentic learning, filmmaking, and digital storytelling. So there's a lot of different mediums that are covered here with this challenge, and especially when we focus it on the queer identities that the LGBTQIA population represents. And so then also it employs career transferable skills, so like research, teamwork, and collaboration, project management, time management, digital literacy, and entrepreneurship. And so there is plenty that people not only can do, but also learn and all those different things, and then use it later in their own careers if they choose to go into this side. And it's inspired by the California Fair Education Act that you can learn more about on that website. Again, as Yvonne said, these slides will be available for you after this presentation.
Right. So I also want to talk a little bit about a program that Global SchoolNet has been running now. This will be our 31st year, and it's something we call a cyber fair, which is basically a virtual World's Fair that this is for students ages 8 through high school, so upper elementary through high school. And it's a very structured, guided program that has students going into their community and doing research. And it could be, there's 8 different categories, which we'll mention in a minute. They create some sort of digital, what we call artifact, which can be, initially it was a website, it can be a podcast, it can be a video, it can be a poem, it can be a song. And it somehow tells the story of their community. Now, like I said, we've been doing this for 31 years. We've had more than 5 million students participate. And what's really fun is you can go to the website and you can see that there is a gallery of previous projects going back to 1996. So lots of projects. The reason I mention this is because if you decide to participate in the Youth Media Challenge, you can also submit to CyberFair. CyberFair actually has a little bit of a different time schedule. Projects are due in March, so you have lots of time to prepare. So you can create a video story for the Youth Media Challenge, and then you can pick the right category for CyberFair and submit it for that as well. Thank you.
Amazing. I can't believe you had such big reach. 5.5 million participants. That's insane.
Oh,
Congratulations.
if you go back and look at some of the YouTube videos, we had Bill Gates, Al Gore, Sinbad, some really celebrities at the time, talking about how important this was. And I can say that this project has actually stood the test of time. You think like 30 years ago, what could we have been doing back then that's still relevant? We've actually created curriculum units for each of these categories. So if you go there, you will get discussion questions, how you can introduce these topics. Who are your local leaders? So in the case of aligning it with the Our Pride movement in San Diego, who are the local leaders that might fit into that category? Well, we have Todd Gloria, who is our first gay mayor. So we can talk about, people can interview him, what was your path? How did you get there? What were your challenges, success, and so on. Then for each of the categories, there are learning activities. So it will say, okay, here are the things you can do. Again, you can, if you're wanting to introduce this to students, to youth, here are some of the activities you can do to learn more about this topic. And then, as I said, we have lots of project examples that go back to 1996. Now, what we were able to do is capture what we call the behind the scenes story, or in our case, we call it the project narrative, which each time you submit a project, you describe what technology you use, how it supported the required curriculum mandates, what were the challenges, what were the unexpected success stories. So we have all of that. What we don't have is all of the websites, because as you can imagine, over 30 years, websites come and go, but we still actually have some of them. So you can go and, especially the last few years of the project, you can go and look at the different projects.
That's amazing. And so just a quick question. So you have here the global school network, and so is this mostly designed for like teachers, or is it for parents, or is it for anyone that is maybe like in charge of like a teen group of some sort, like at a church or community center? Like, how does this
so Global SchoolNet is a network of schools globally. so it's it's not just schools, it's youth organizations, it's boys clubs, it's homeschoolers use it, it's independent study programs. So again, the only requirement is that there must be an adult supervisor or coach, and that could be a parent, it could be a teacher, it could be an after-school club advisor, it could be any of those, and that person is the one that ensures that the students are following the rules and, have permission. We're going to, I'll get, soon we'll talk about some of the resources we provide, that why we've been able to do this for 30 years is because every time there was any kind of a something that came up that was questionable, we created a resource for that. So as you can imagine, after 30 years, we have lots of infrastructure, lots of resources for an adult that wants to introduce this with students. And students can work as an individual or they can work as a team as long as they have an adult coach.
Makes
Now,
sense.
because I'm focusing on the educational value of these projects, I always tell whoever the coach is, the supervisor, the teacher, you have to prioritize what your learning outcomes are because you can't do all of these things. So this is just an example. This isn't, what I recommend for any particular project, but as an example, so you may want to participate in the Our Pride Youth Media Challenge for knowledge gain. Who are, the individuals in the community or in the world that have contributed to the LGBTQ movement? Or what are the historical moments? Or what is the current legislation? So knowledge gain is part of it if that's what your learning outcome is. However, that's not the only thing if you're doing an educational project. A big part of it for me is project and time management because we don't want the students to create something and walk away. We want them to plan and decide, what are the resources that I need? How long will this take? What's the risk factor? What can go wrong? Who can I share this with? So that's all part of project and time management. Do you want global interaction? As Felipe was saying, in some parts of the world, this topic is not well accepted, and we've run into that. But this will give students the opportunity to tell their story and, maybe embolden others in different parts of the world where they may feel alone. A big part, again, for Global SchoolNet is all about the collaboration and teamwork. We have lots of resources that tell you how to organize that. Everybody says they want to collaborate, but everybody has a different idea of what that means. So we talk about how to set expectations correctly and, again, address risk factors and, of course, introduce new technologies. So, again, over the past 3 decades, the technologies have changed. The new one, of course, is AI. We're looking at ways to incorporate that now so that it's really enhancing the project and, not creating, these fake educational videos and programs that we may not want.
Totally. Do you want me to keep moving with the slides or?
Yeah, next slide, thanks. Okay, so this is the basics. If you're getting ready to tell a story, what is your story? You have to decide on your topic, and you can engage your audience by spotlighting yourself, or is there something about yourself? Have you had an experience or someone in your family or someone in your community that you want to talk about? Usually, if you're passionate about that and it's an issue that you care deeply about, you're going to be a better storyteller, correct? Then, again, going back to putting my education hat on, you have to create what we call a project scope. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. You have to create a timeline and an implementation plan. So, it's just I'm encouraging students that are working on this and teachers that are working with their students, to try to be a little bit organized in the beginning because your end result is going to be so much more amazing. Of course, you're going to combine original research, your personal observations, and we really want you to pay attention to ethical journalism, which means only include things that are accurate, that you can document, that you
So
have properly
necessary nowadays.
cited, and so on.
So
You
necessary
will
nowadays.
either create your own original words, photos, video, audio, music, graphic illustrations, or if you're going to borrow from others, again, you properly cite it. You say, okay, I'm taking this is a great quote and I'm taking it from this person, from Jane Goodall or from whoever it happens to be, and I'm including it in my story. And then again, I can't emphasize this enough, properly document your sources. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is how you would organize, this is a suggestion of how you would organize any project you're working on. So if you want to do the Youth Media Challenge, the ArtPride Youth Media Challenge, again, kind of the steps. You're going to select your topic, you're going to create a team, you're going to assign the jobs. When I say that, not every part of the team and every student is going to be doing the same thing. There will be some youth that are great interviewers and they love to interview people, so maybe that's their job. There are others that are going to be great writers and that's going to be their job. Some will be the photographers, some will be the ones that keep the team on task, right?
Researchers.
So again, there are different jobs, different students, depending on how many students there are. You'll go out and gather information. That sounds simple, but often you have way more information than you can possibly use. And then you'll select those parts of the information to tell your story. Again, I suggest completing what I call the project narrative, which is the behind the scenes story of how you made it happen. So it's like a recipe. If someone wants to do something similar to what you did, you're going to help them understand how to do that. Again, it's optional, but I always tell the teachers, the coaches, to have the students participate in a peer review, because often students learn more about what they did right and wrong by looking at projects that other students have done. Because once they create their own, it's very hard to look at your own project in a critical way, but you can look at what other students have done and say, oh, wait, I didn't like this background. Oh, wait, the audio is hard to hear. Or, this is way too long. Or, I don't understand. What is your point? So all of these things will be very helpful if they look at other videos, projects that students have worked on. Again, conduct a self-assessment. What would you do different? And then, of course, recognize the best practices. Again, this is mostly for teachers because you want to do this again with the next group of students. And just like a recipe gets better every time, your project will get better every time.
That makes sense.
Okay, you can't see this, but the slide is there. But this is an example of a storytelling evaluation rubric. And again, educators will know what a rubric is, and it's a numerical way to measure how well the performance is. So, there may be some evidence, there may be lots of evidence, there may be creative examples of that evidence. And I'm just throwing this up here as an example. If you go to our websites, you will see rubrics, a variety of different rubrics, and you can pick the one, again, that matches what your learning outcomes are. What are you trying to have the students take away from the activity? That's the type of evaluation rubric you will choose. Thank you. Okay, now I talked a little bit about these words, which you may or may not be familiar with, but we've worked with the Project Management Institute, which is this professional organization of project managers. There's over 1 million people in business that are members of the Project Management Institute. So some of these words we've borrowed from their plan. So if your students follow this process, they will be developing workforce-ready skills that will really help them, that are transferable. So no matter what industry they decide to go into, or even for their life in general, it will help them. So Felipe, could you just click on defining the project scope, just so I can give an example? Each one of these is a hot link. And it goes into great detail. Again, I'm not going to read this all to you, but it's very simply put what a project scope is. What are your goals? What are the deliverables? What are the constraints? This is very important, because if you assign something to a student, they may think, oh, this project is due in 30 days. And gee, what's going to happen in those 30 days? Well, the weather can change. School can be closed. My computer can stop working. I may get the flu, whatever. There's all kinds of what we call risk analysis factors. And this is giving you the scaffolding and the infrastructure to be very successful on these different projects. So this is actually a booklet that we've created. It's downloadable from the Global SchoolNet website. Let's go back
Yvonne,
to the.
these are amazing. This is like really good material. I mean, it's giving you like a blueprint on how to create this whole
It's a
project
blueprint. It
step
is.
by step. Like this is really helpful. And not only that, but what you were saying, this is like stuff that not only is for work, I mean, for school and everything, but this is like stuff that will help you to do projects when you're at work. I mean, I'm thinking about myself when I have to do
Yes.
like I'm doing a lot of video editing for the Charter for Compassion. We have a lot of stuff, and then I mean, for this booklet to give you like times and ways to do it, like this is amazing. This
Yeah.
is really
So
really cool.
typically, people don't have an accurate understanding of how much time goes into something. And that's where they run into trouble. They get very ambitious. They want to do so much. And then they have a certain
Mhm.
amount of time. So we encourage them to break it down. And I know it's just guessing, but let's say this is due in 6 weeks. How much time will you have each week to donate to your project? Okay, so let's say I'm going to donate 2 hours per week. Great. How many minutes per day are you going to work on this? So that if you get to week 4 and you haven't done anything, you're not going to finish your project when it's due, right? So,
Totally.
having done this for so long, I can tell you that a lot of time is spent on things that don't matter that much, like what is the background color for your slide,
Oh yeah,
or
totally.
what which picture am I going to use, whatever. But we try to get the students and the teachers working together to really define the important things. Outline your story, figure out, are you going to tell your story in 90 seconds, or are you going to tell it in 5 minutes? Usually short videos don't go longer than 5 minutes. So, but you can tell a great story in 90 seconds. So if you only have 90 seconds, that sometimes is harder, right? Because you have to really pick the assets that you want to use to tell that story. The last 4 resources, an
Oh,
example on
mhm.
there, there's a project planning checklist, which is like a sheet that you can use yourself that says, if you go down to the bottom part there, it says, okay, for the entire project, we have whatever, 4 weeks. That means how much time per week, and then how much time per day. And then again, this is some of the different activities that you might be required to use to create your project. Again, just a
Amazing,
sample.
amazing, amazing.
So,
So good.
okay, and then let me go down. So again, if you're an adult, as a coach, a teacher, and you're working with students, I highly, highly suggest having an acceptable use policy which sets the rules. And again, this is an example on there. You can modify this. Many schools already have this. Hopefully they have it. But here are the rules. Here's what you can do, can say. Here are images that are the way that you use images and so on. Again, always suggest having a parent notification letter, and this is a sample parent notification letter that you can modify. And then once you create your project, you want everybody to know about it. So this is a sample media advisory, how you can put your own information in that and share it with the print and broadcast media. Great. Thanks.
Amazing, amazing. Let's keep going here.
Okay, so for the Youth Media Challenge and for Cyber Fair and probably for other video production competitions or showcases, you really want to make your audience care. So this is what I've learned over the years. And by the way, that's my dog, Ginger, right
Ah,
there.
I was gonna ask if it was yours.
And that's a postcard that John and I created a few years ago. But anyway, tell the backstory. Tell the backstory of your story. make it personal. Document what you've observed and what you've learned during the project. That is huge educational value. If you just create something, put it up there, and you don't know, what was your motivation, what was your inspiration. You probably go to Film Fest, or I go to Film Fest, and I love listening to the directors and the producers and the actors talking about the backstory, how they felt when they were acting, what was, the purpose of the film, and so on. So this is an opportunity to do that. Take the time to do it. Often this is a missing piece. And then again, after you've created, raise public awareness about your story and suggest actions that individuals or communities can take to make a difference. So if you've created something, a film, like for the first time that we ran this program, I can't remember now, 6, 7 years ago, students in San Diego created a film about what happened in San Diego, back in the 70s, where there was a pride march and the people wore paper bags over their heads. And they learned about that, through studying the history of San Diego. And it's a very short film, and it's available online, and you can watch it. And if you just watch the film, you go, oh, that's kind of interesting. But what does that all mean? Well, if you're not from San Diego, or even from the United States, you may not understand the significance of that. But reading their backstory really, really helps to put it in perspective.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Okay, so we're going to go to Q&As, but this was the tip of the iceberg of so many resources and so much information. Yeah, go ahead. You want to click on the rainbow agaves? Yeah. So there's so much information there. You can look on the top nav bar. You can see there's the youth challenge. There's lots of resources. We have many, many partners. There's lots of opportunities. Felipe, maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the things that they'll find on this particular website.
Yeah, absolutely. So, John with Rainbow Advocacy, as I was telling you, has been connecting, different voices from around the world, different, when I say organizations, like World Pride and Enterpride. He also is, Rainbow Advocacy, or Our Pride, has also become the host for the Troy Perry Awards, which is Reverend Troy Perry was, speaking about, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he defended queer people a lot. And so, he is, let me see where it says right here. Because the AIDS epidemic was continuing to ravage lives throughout the city. The mission was to provide educational, cultural, and social service to gay, lesbian, bisexual youth. And today, Rainbow Advocacy is dedicated to advancing the LGBTQIA plus Pride movement through Our Pride's arts and advocacy programs, the Troy Perry Legacy Awards, the Legacy Grants, and other projects, organizations, and partners. So that's what it was: the grants and the awards. And so, another project that John is considering now is Flag 50. So the Pride flag is going to celebrate 50 years of being created in 2028 or 2027, I think it is. But yeah, so there's a whole project here that is going on with other countries. 2028. So it was in 1978. So in 2028, there's going to be a World Pride, and how they have the prides that happen in different countries. It's like the World Pride, so all the queer people go to those celebrations and whatnot. This year, or this upcoming year, 2026, I think it's in Amsterdam. In 2028, which is the 50th year anniversary of the Pride flag, is going to be in Cape Town, South Africa. So the project is obviously a long-term project, but it's happening, and Rainbow Advocacy and Our Pride is doing a lot of that push. But then they also
this is such a great resource, because it's sort of the current events of what's happening in the whole social movement, because unfortunately so many schools and youth organizations aren't able to share this information anymore. So this is a great resource. You can go to this to the website, and there's always new opportunities. I can tell you, John is on the prowl always for new information, new opportunities, amazing people. Often there are webinars or videos that people can watch. And as I said, there's an archive of student-produced videos from the past. So this is a great resource both for youth and for adults as
Yeah,
well.
I mean that's where the youth challenges, the Youth Media Challenge. So this is where Global SchoolNet connects with our pride, very much so. And so here is the whole idea of who can participate. So it's for teens. Um, and I guess they use all those resources. I mean, it's right here. This is what we had in one of the slides. And so these are resources that are very much connected to Global SchoolNet through our pride, which is a great partnership because we really are connecting stories with teens and young kids that are able to produce that and get those skills so that not only they can produce something beautiful and worth telling, but it's giving them skills for later on. So this is a really cool teamwork, I would say. So do you want to
Great.
share a little bit more about your website too?
Yeah, so again, it looks kind of, there's a lot of information in there, but uh, I'll just say that the different links will take you to the different categories, as I've already talked about, where you'll find the discussion questions, the starter activities, the project examples, lots and lots of project examples. All the resources that we clicked on previously are available there. There's, some past
Oh yeah.
videos from, as I said, from some interesting people. But each one of, and you can see that these are submissions from around the world. So
Taiwan, yeah.
this is there for you as a reference. But
India.
my Global SchoolNet, we are the allies that want to help the teachers and students that want to get into digital storytelling, video production, and so on. We want to give you the resources that you need to be successful, because sometimes it can be overwhelming. Where do I start? What are the tools? So John has created partnerships with different businesses and video production tools and so on. And you can, from the ARPIDE website, you can find out about those and get access to those tools like WeVideo, which is a collaborative video platform. So it could be that your students are working locally in one school. Of course, that's a little bit easier, but what if you want to partner with a school somewhere else and you want to create a video together? In the past, for 10 years, we had Global SchoolNet ran the U.S.-Russia youth education program. So we connected schools in America with schools and youth organizations in Russia, and they worked collaboratively to create videos. Well, you need some kind of, if you're going to do a collaboration over geographically dispersed areas with different time zones, you need some pretty strong collaboration tools. So that's an example of something else that you can find.
That's amazing. Is it okay if I copy paste the link of the slides here on our
Yes,
chat?
of course. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Let's do that. So if anybody wants to, check out the slides and save them around, because honestly, I mean, the information that you have here is gold. So thank you so much for sharing that and to put it all together in this.
I know when they said you only have 40 minutes, I said, wait a minute, how do I take 40 years of doing this and put it in 40 minutes?
Totally. Totally. Well, so I think we have a couple more people here on our session. Do any of you have any questions that you would like to ask Yvonne? Because honestly, I can't really answer much. I'm just
Oh,
helping out
yes, you
here.
can. Oh, yes, you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, we talked pretty quickly and gave you a ton of information, and I'm sure there are questions. Um, and if there are, we'll try to answer them for you.
Mhm.
So let's see. Do we see any
Honestly,
hands?
I think we are. Oh, let me see. Oh, that was your question. What's your one? Okay. So yeah, I mean, we have the link there for the slides. I have pinned the globalschoolnet.org website there. I'm gonna pin this one to the slides and rainbow advocacy as well. So oh, you can only pin one at a time. Never mind. Okay. but at least we have that right there. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can. And Yvonne, do you have an email address that people can reach out to you if they have any questions?
So if you go to the Global SchoolNet website, there we have a help desk, and you can submit your questions. Yeah, on the bottom, the very bottom, it says "Contact Us," and there's like a form that you will fill out, and you can put what your questions are. What the topic is. We have Cyberfair is only one of the projects that we run. Again, we do a lot of environmental projects, a lot of other social action projects, and so on. We're working with John, for the Our Pride education program, and as Felipe said earlier, it was initiated to support what's called the Fair Education Act that was introduced in California, which was to be inclusive and tell about significant moments in LGBTQ history and events. And there were no resources for that. There was nothing in the textbooks, nothing that teachers could use. So we wanted to create some or make available some reliable, authentic resources for teachers. So yeah, so that's how our partnership began.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, if there are no other questions, I say that we can say thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, I mean, we'll leave the links there, but I think that we should be good to go.
Right. So, Felipe, how do we make these slides available to participants either now or that are looking at the recording? I wasn't sure where we uploaded those.
So with the recording, we will make sure to put because all the recordings will be in our YouTube channel. And so we will be able to put that in there. So with the links we'll put the links on the description of the video of the recording, so they will be able to have access to all this.
Sure.
resources.
And then connected to these different sessions, is there a place for presenter handouts? I wasn't seeing where to do that. So.
I'm not really sure if we have any of that, but we can definitely put it at least on the event chat, not on the session chat, but on the event chat. And then if people want to connect with you later on, they're able to get information from you as well.
Yeah, and just one final thing. So, hopefully you were excited about some of this that you heard about, and you have to think about where it fits into your schedule because people are already very, very busy. But as you could see from the Youth Media Challenge, submissions can be turned in anytime. So you can look at, does it make sense to do it, in the winter, in the spring, in the fall, whatever it happens to be. Is it, do you want to do it as an independent study allow your students to do it as an independent study? Is it going to be part of a required, curriculum that you're having your students do? If you do it, if you have your students create these and you want to extend the reach of whatever they're creating, you can consider submitting it to Cyberfair, and lots of time to get ready for that. As I said, entries aren't due until March, and then we give students an opportunity to participate in an organized peer review where they're given 6 other projects to look at and a rubric, which is even more extensive than the one that I showed you. One I showed you is 1 page. The rubric that we give them to look at for Cyberfair is like 5 pages, so it's very extensive. Some
And this is
teachers
for the
say,
kids? Like, this is the kids using that rubric?
it's a teacher-guided activity.
Oh, teacher. Okay.
Teacher-guided. So we break it down into different components, like the technical aspects. Again, how did they present it technically? Did the video the clips they use make sense to tell their story? when you go to their when you watch it, do you even know what the purpose, so different things. There's a technical aspect, there's the creative visual aspect. Maybe it's just creative and visual, maybe it's not, it's not a documentary, right? So they're telling the story, but they're being very creative. It could be an animation, it could be stop motion, it could be all kinds of different things. And then what about did they properly cite all their sources? Well, that looks great, but this looks kind of familiar. I thought I saw that somewhere else. Wait a minute. They use a clip or music or something that they didn't properly, cite. And then
Mm.
it won't even get, technically it shouldn't even be shown because, it needs to be properly cited. They need to have permission and so on. So anyway, the rubric for cyberfair, teachers can use that not just for cyberfair. They can use it for any kind of project that they're doing with their students.
Truly, it really is like a multifaceted, like helpful resource guideline, huh?
Yeah, so try to make it that. And again, for cyberfair, there's a lot of countries that are participating where English is not their first language. So requirement for cyberfair, which was way more difficult when we started this, was they would have to submit, they could submit it in their own language, and then they would have to submit an English version of it. And so that was a lot of pressure on them to translate it and make it available in English. So when they submit videos, we always wanted them to have subtitles. So if you're watching a video that was produced by students in Taiwan or in India or wherever it happens to be, you could watch the video, but it would have to have some subtitles so that the reach would be extended.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And for anybody else that is watching here, you can go on the right-hand column, chat, polls, people, and if you see, you can schedule a meeting. So Yvonne, if you are available, can people book any meetings with you while we're doing this conference? Yeah.
So again, I would suggest going through the Global SchoolNet website. That's a way for me to kind of cut down on the noise in my email box, which
Totally.
1,000 messages a day. So I really do, because my email address has been out there for a very long time. But yeah, and the other thing is, we're happy if you have a group that you want to introduce this to, we're happy to do a specific webinar for your group, whether it be for the teachers and students. We always recommend do the teachers and students together when that's possible. But often teachers will have different classes. Middle school teachers might have 3-4 classes. We won't do 3 or 4 webinars for each class, but we can do it for one class and then record that and then make it available for the other classes.
Amazing. Well, I think we are about to end this session, so I don't know if you would like to stay a little bit longer here, Yvonne. Do join us at the top of the hour for the next panel. That's going to be, let me see, what is it about? It's compassionate peace building, the role of youth in global solidarity and dialogue. And that's going to be moderated by Adma Kaur, who's really, really cool lady. So, yeah. Website is there.
Well, thank you, Felipe. I could not have done this without you. I would have been very lonely. It's very hard to collaborate by yourself. So
I agree. I mean, well, we were able to get it together, yeah. And hopefully John feels better soon.
Yes.
Bye,
Hopefully
everyone.
John is happy with what we did. We tried to do our best.
Yeah,
It's
right.
hard.
Yeah, John, if you're watching this, forgive us, but love us. All right. Let me just
All right.
stop sharing.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.